Hello, everybody. I do apologize. It has been a couple of weeks since I have had the opportunity to get in here to do another education video for you guys, but we are going to be talking today about ischemic heart disease, also known as coronary artery disease. So, ischemic heart disease, or IHD, sometimes you might see it labeled that way, is a condition that develops when the blood flow from the heart muscle to the heart muscle, is reduced. And this can lead really to a variety of different problems, including chest pain, shortness of breath, and even heart attacks. So, kind of imagine the heart as kind of like an engine, right? So it's working really hard constantly all the time. And just like an engine, it really needs a steady supply of fuel in order to function properly, right? And in the case of the heart, this is going to be that oxygen-rich blood. And the coronary arteries are kind of like the highways that deliver the fuel to the heart muscle. And when these highways get blocked, the blood then is unable to reach its destination and deliver the fuel. So atherosclerosis is basically, it disrupts that smooth flow of the blood. It is essentially a gradual process where various different substances build up inside on the artery walls and form kind of like a sticky substance called plaque. Sometimes these are fatty deposits, but there are a lot of things that can kind of like stick to them and excess that blockage. So the main culprit for this plaque buildup is pretty typically the low density lipoprotein, or your LDL cholesterol. So think of your LDL cholesterol as like your bad cholesterol, and this then can accumulate on the inside of that arterial wall. Couple of other things that kind of go into making those plaques are some fatty substances, some triglycerides, which is just like another type of fat in your blood, and cellular waste. There's a lot of different debris from cells that go into the bloodstream to be filtered out and gotten rid of, and those can also start to accumulate there and kind of stick to those plaques. And they are also, involved in that inflammatory process within the artery wall as well. Calcium is another one as well. This mineral can harden in with those plaques and make it also a lot more dangerous for that narrowing. And as that plaque builds up, it then thickens, that inner lining of the artery wall and ends up causing a narrowing, which is essentially that the word for that is stenosis. So that just means a narrowing. So it's basically the inside of the tube is getting skinnier, okay? And this results in restricted blood flow. So think it's like a bottleneck, right? So the blood is, flowing through, and then it gets to the bottleneck, and the hole to come out is, way tinier, right? So that's basically kind of where you're at with the blood flow too. So the stenosis, or the narrowing, basically means that less oxygen is going to reach the heart muscle, which then can cause a variety of different symptoms, including chest pain, fatigue, shortness of breath, and in some severe cases, there can be complete blockage, which ends up leading to a heart attack. So one common symptom of ischemic heart disease is stable angina pectoris, and this is chest pain or discomfort that typically occurs upon exertion, like climbing stairs or walking up a hill, something like that. And the pain is often, it's felt across the chest, but it's more like a pressure or a tightness or a squeezing. And it does usually improve with rest. So it is important to note that ischemic heart disease does not always present with chest pain. There are times where you still have this heart disease, but there are no symptoms. And this is typically termed silent ischemia. And in other cases, it can manifest as shortness of breath or fatigue or even heart failure. But the good news is that there are some things that we can do to reduce the risk of the ischemic heart disease or the progression of it. And these are called modifiable risk factors because these are things that we can modify, things we can change within our lifestyle, for example, to help manage them, right? And so these are things like your diet, physical activity, sleep and stress management. Also, the key modifiable risk factors, particularly smoking. If you're smoking, that's going to majorly increase your risk factor. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, all these different ones are things that we can do something about to be able to lower the risk of the progression or onset of ischemic heart disease. But unfortunately, there are some risk factors that we cannot control, and these are going to be your non-modifiable risk factors. And these are things like age, family history, gender, all that type of stuff that obviously you can't control how old you are, right? You can't control if you have a family history, genetic predisposition for some of this stuff, right? But if you do have those things, and as you age, there are other things like the modifiable stuff that if you're not focusing on that kind of thing, then it makes the non-modifiable risk factors just that much more amplified and likely to cause problems. So definitely focusing on those modifiable things, we can definitely significantly reduce that overall risk. So there are several different diagnostic tests that can help confirm ischemic heart disease or CAD, and also to determine its severity. And so these are going to include things like EKGs to measure the heart's electrical activity, maybe a stress test to see how the heart responds to exertion, sometimes a calcium score test, as well as a coronary angiography, which is meant to visualize the arteries and any blockages. And sometimes also kind of in your battery of tests, we'll do a heart echo, but this is more for visualizing the functionality of the heart. It does not visualize blockages in the arteries. So ischemic heart disease definitely is, a very serious condition, but with some of that early detection and some of those risk factor, modifications, that management, as well as the proper treatments, you can absolutely live a long and healthy life with that. And, have a great quality of life for sure. But just remember that those healthy lifestyle modifications are going to be your best defense against the ischemic heart disease. So if you guys do have any questions at all, do let me know. You can drop them below the video here. You can send me a message either way. If you are going to send me a message, that's totally fine. Just drop a comment letting me know that you have sent that just in case I miss it. Sometimes they go to my message request box if we're not already friends on Facebook. So otherwise, I will see you guys over in the group. Have a great day.